It is 8th day of the month of June 2023. A very great morning to you, and it is a Thursday. Wherever you are catching the show live from, you're most welcome. My name is Denis Oringi, and you have to know it's KOKOLIRIKO live on Westnile Television. I am here to give you a breath of ever information. Do not forget, tomorrow is 9th of June 2023, and you always know what happens on 9th of June. Each and every year, that means tomorrow will be Heroes Day. And who are the heroes who will be celebrated tomorrow? I will be diving into that. And this morning, allow me to tell you that I like the discipline that President Yoweri Museveni always instilled in our leaders that we have in this country, Uganda. You have not to go with your phone where President Yoweri Museveni is. Why? One, it is because of security reason. Two, he wants the people to listen to him because he has realized that whenever people are speaking and people have their smartphones, they don't concentrate. They are just there WhatsApping and also just watching TikTok and also other, socials right there. And this is what I can tell you this morning, that the reason why President Yoweri Museveni does not want these members of parliament to go in with their phone where he will be addressing them is just because he wants to instill that discipline of listening, not that discipline of always viewing and watching TikTok and also other videos right there. And I love the way members of parliament and other ministers that we have in this country were attentive. You don't use your phone where president is. If he is not even on his phone, then who are you to be on your phone? And so if other leaders can also adopt that, that's going to be a very perfect one. During council meeting, during any gathering, phone off. During church service, phone off. Put it out or leave it at home. Attend to the service. Go to the churches nowadays and you see what happens at these churches. What you're going to see, you will be seeing people are just there WhatsApping and even watching some of the video clips that are not supposed to be watched in the church. And so I believe that is a very good practice, and I concur with that. One is security reason. Two, discipline. When a big man is talking, you have to be disciplined enough. Listen to him. You should not be on your phone. And that is what I love most. Nowadays, you go for any social gatherings that we do have in our community, and you see those who have smartphones, what they're doing. What are they doing? Even just go to different companies when they are having meetings and you see what the staff are doing. No, people no longer now go with notebook and pens. Why? Because they claim that they have notepads on their phones, and so they will be taking notes. Ask them at the end of the meeting how many people have been able to take notes and tell me what did we discuss. They always say the secretary of the meeting is there, will avail us with the copy of what has been discussed. That should not be the case. And for me, those are the parameters that I use to measure the progress of a company, a progress of a person. If a person is not good in note taking, then that person is not good enough. And that brings me to the kind of education that this person has been able to receive. It's not about having degrees and PhDs that you call yourself a learned person. If you cannot really practice some of the social norms that you are supposed to adapt to. And kudos to President Yoweri Museveni for always instilling that discipline in them. During cabinet meeting, phone off, phone in the cars. Don't go with your phone. Go with the pen and paper and take note. And that's also what happens at the UN meetings. You are not allowed to go with your phones. Just take notes, because they believe that when people are not having their phones, they concentrate and they write something down at least. And at the end of the day, they are able to really, re-examine what they have been discussing. And you see people working very well. In other companies, staff are not allowed to get into their offices with their smartphones. Leave it at the gate. So if you want to make communication to your loved ones or to any person, either use the company phone or you go to the gate and make phone calls there. After that, you have to get back for work. And so those are some of the things they will never teach them in schools. But you can choose to maintain such discipline, and President Yoweri Museveni is maintaining that. I do not know what will happen to the next president, if at all we shall have the next president, whether such will really continue. But because of security reason, they might allow people not to go in with the phones whenever, wherever there are meetings of such caliber. And, okay, thank you. Dear viewer, I felt it is important that I should be able to emphasize this. This is just discipline, you understand? And so it does not need somebody to come and lecture you on this, but my time that I've taken to tell you this, you have to understand that is how we can really become disciplined enough to really manage ourselves, manage the society where we live in. And let's get to some of the local stories that we have prepared for you this morning. A very good morning to you, those who are catching us live from different parts of West Nile sub-region. We do appreciate you very much. Not forgetting those who are catching us live from Acholi sub-region. Kutero Pinino Martin, Mamira Tinkarman Mifui, Tinino Dwe, Aboro Paduma, Bichel Mahalivaro Pierre, Dek Week Po, Willia Diri, Bedonina Bongwen, Padwe Me, Abuchel Man, Obichibedo, Nino Pao Terra, Mabedo Kibang Waha, Inoni, Waberi Kare Biquero, Nino Pao Terra, Joma, Iberi Kare, Mitiu Matek, Milwenyo, P. Ngom, Wame Uganda Man, Tish Mamegi, we open Willie come Tish Mamegi, and what I'm the pair attack, what working for Fosh, and so Dere, Tianino, my Ngom Uganda, Keroneo Marodano, Bedikar, you gang, and a public holiday come, so Dere only teach my papa, over Chibedu Pare, Atamani Pera Takawachi lock on him. And so, dear viewer, those who are catching us from Alur sub-region, I Nene Kugan Pinin Martin, we could will now one in the moment, Padu Mira, Busel, Oral Faraku Pira Wadek, Utien Nind Madit, Mangomi Uganda, Quiru could need pa Oteka, Keote, Joma, Gibedo Kare, me, Timo, Tish Matek Nino Nia, what ye kit about ye could a coward in Berma, Megi Bagibedo Kare, Betimo Pira Tech. Angeo ngata mo bedo kare beti mo teach batake kwa mapere mingeo pere romo bedo ngata mo kosh ento ngomi Uganda utie ku kode dana makume na akoya ma jupoi pigi pi teach ma migi magi bedo kare beti mo matek ni neno ngom Uganda utie chalo kit ma utie ko eni nongurwo obeshi bedo nindu madit etie nindu matish pagamente ubeshite merengo ento wabeshibedo kare bikwiru nindu enene edo bet kungesne yoroshi ngasabish awiye romo chito ngweso mo Kenya ten perudu ge pasho tino washo ne ya urwo so mombe bedo kare menyang ne ya urwo uteninu pa oteka nyoke utie Heroes Day makudomondo majo washo kumeni nong abibedo kare minyuti ulebede cheke kore enuke urwo ikugwene program KOKOLIRIKO, and we could will ya bibedo kare bishako kulembe mitadera mo wedaro ni iku iri pininu mandin mana bibedo kare binyuti lemba ngomu tikara tebre ngomi Uganda itenge miyamo majulongu ni ya newspapers nyoke Daily Monitor karashelo ku New Vision ekandu abibedo kare binyuti lemba ngomu tikara tebre lem tugu wiye manongo pode abedo ngoku kare bi work chen kuri studio enne amita tinkara ni foyo manok ni jolo i program KOKOLIRIKO pishinga sangwen pininu batin nindu abora padwi mira busel urali fare kupira wadek nindu note kane ringo we could will ya kare nindu note kane ringo lambe dipanongo note kane timbre ko padano ento wa meoma longo wa wacha kane kene ruot mongo miki wa kero karashelo kungeo ngesh neno ni ya wa daro ko peko ne moku manongo dano te kane kadho ko e agyo dano cheko te kane kadhe peko ento jiwachi ni ya ruompa peko ne remokosh chalo kid mamon domundo wa the degree of problems vary, and so my problem might be bigger than yours, and so yours might be bigger than mine as well, and so that is the life that we live in, and we cannot really run away from such difference that we have in life. And difference in life will continue, where we have those who are richer will continue to get richer, and those who are poor, some will continue to get to get poorer. And so that is the fact of life, and we cannot run away from that. Even if different programs are brought on board to say that we fight poverty, still that gap, economic gap, will continue to to be there. The financial gap among people will continue to be there. The fact is that we shall never be the same in this world, and that is the principle of life. And if you think that I am lying, trace back whether at a certain point everybody was at the same level when it comes to finances. No. At least you'll find that there are those that will maintain that level, and there are those that will really remain where they are. So if it reaches a point that where people are supposed to really be at the same level, you'll find that natural calamities will come, floods will come, and then you see civil war breaking out, and then you see countries getting confused, and you see things are not moving on well. And all this is to see that human beings should not be the same in terms of life, and that fact we cannot run away from that. But when we are living peaceful, we have to see that at least the gap needs to be bridged a bit. You understand? It might not be bridged completely, as it is the case with the rivers that we do have. Not all the rivers have the same bridges. You understand? And so when you are to go to Ginger, you will see that bridge very different from the bridge that we have in Pakwash. And so that is also the aspect of life, that the bridge that will be put to connect people, the bridges will never be the same. And so there are some bridges that are going to be small, there are some bridges that are going to be big, there are some bridges that will be connected using poles. And now people have to walk on a single pole for them to cross the other side of the river. And so that is life, and so we cannot run away from that. And so I felt it is important that I should be able to bring to you such aspect of life. If you do not understand, sit back and try to reflect. They will never teach you in school, because you cannot teach each and everything in school, but you have to keep learning using the life that people are really living in. And so, dear viewer, allow me to let you know that West Nile Region Civil Society Network, together with the Uganda National NGO Forum, have equipped the leaders of different social groups from the sub-counties in Marasha and Yumbe on how they can engage the community members in demanding for accountability from duty bearers. When we talk about demanding for accountability, we think that demanding for accountability should only be done by the LC3 councillors, the LC5 chairperson and the councillors, the members of parliament, demanding accountability from the government of the Republic of Uganda. But let me tell you this morning that you as an individual, you as a citizen of this country, it doesn't matter how educated you are, you have a right to demand for the accountability from your leaders whom you have elected. And so let's have more on this story. Good morning.
Leaders of the different social groups from the districts of Maracha and Yumbe in West Nile have been trained on how they can begin using the different social groups with involvement of other community members to begin demanding for good governance and accountability, and holds power holders such as a government official accountable in turns, increasing responsiveness to local needs. The group leaders were drawn from already existing local groups from the sub-counties of Olufe and Tara in Marasha and Yumbe Town Council and K in Yumbe District.
Rest, then they gave in productive meeting. Don't forget to thank them.
Feni Tribe, the Chief Executive Officer, West Nile Region Civil Society Network, one of the networks implementing the program in the country, says that the social accountability approaches will enable gathering of feedback from community members on services.
This project is funded by European Union. We are doing it in partnership with the three other organizations. It is being led by Uganda National NGO Forum. In Eastern Uganda, we have PACONET, an organization called Palisa Civil Society Network, but we also have Westnile Regional Civil Society Network that is going to implement this project in Maracha and the Yumbe districts. So the project is targeting informal groups, because you are aware that people have their savings groups, people have their women groups, people have other groups that are there. So what we are simply trying to say is that other than always congregating and discussing these other things, can you also discuss about service delivery? How can we take duty bearers, the district leaders, the sub-county leaders, to the community so that they interact with the community members, so that the community members will be able to raise some of the issues that they feel these people need to address directly to them, their face, other than speculating.
Asked why only 2 districts from West Nile region have been selected for the program, Feni says district like Marasha has little impact of NGOs. Meanwhile, Yumbe is one of the districts in the region with over 20 sub-counties that leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to service delivery and accountability.
So we are looking at Maracha, where actually the presence of civil society organizations is very minimal. You can bear witness with me. Most of the organizations you see here in other districts, not really Maracha district, we have very few organizations in those districts. So we feel we need to close the gap. We need to be in to contribute. We are not going to totally close the gap because we will not do everything, but the little that we can do, we needed to do it in those districts with those conditions. That's why we chose Maracha and Yumbe.
After every election cycle, Ugandans are left wondering with little being done in as far as providing accountability information is concerned. Chris Kwatisibwe, Chief of Party at Uganda National NGO Forum, says their move will inform the citizens on how they can always engage their leaders on matters to do with the service delivery, even after the election.
Very weak linkages between the citizens and the duty bearers and their leaders. So oftentimes during the election cycles, we do an election, and after that we find that we don't find leaders interacting with the citizens to get to know their issues and be able to respond. So that is a gap. So what we're doing with this project is to create the linkages and create platforms for regular engagement between the citizens and their leaders. The second gap that we have identified is that citizens do not actually understand the service delivery standards at the different service delivery points. So one of the things we're doing is to popularize and make this information available to the leaders and to the citizens themselves. So you will find that at Health Center 3s we expect to have an in-charge, we expect to have a nurse, we expect to have a midwife, and certain diseases that should be managed at that level. But we know that most of our health centers are not well equipped. So what we're doing with this particular project is to make sure that citizens identify where these gaps are and are able to communicate clearly these gaps to their duty bearers, whether they're civil servants or the political leaders.
One of the participants who attended the training says the skills acquired have informed her on what they will be able to ask in regards to accountability questions that will make their leaders accountable.
Skills we will acquire from this training will help us dig out how and when we need to help, because it will enable us to do research about the things that are the issues that are of concern in the community. Then we will hold our leaders accountable so that they'll be able to give accountability of what the taxpayers' money is doing, particularly in Yumbe.
In achieving all this, Chris says they cannot downplay the role of media in helping to disseminate the information to the general public.
And one of the things we're doing is to acknowledge that the media helps us reach majority Ugandans where we actually cannot reach. So what we're doing is to partner with a few media houses in Westnile sub-region to be able to disseminate this information. The information about service delivery standards, citizens' voices about the key issues they are identifying in their communities, so that we are bridging this gap. At the same level, we shall also be inviting leaders to be able to provide accountability and respond to the issues we shall have identified in the communities.
Dennis Oringi, Westnile TV, Nilecast.
All right, you have had by yourselves, and so it's about a social accountability right here. How many people are tasking their leaders to explain how the budget that they appropriate, the budget that they always draw and appropriate is really performing. And so get to the municipality, go to Zumbu, go to Paikwash district, find out whether the local people understand how sub-county operate, how the district is operating in terms of giving accountability to the members of the public. We tend to leave issues to do with accountability to our councillors to be asking questions during their council meeting. But as an individual, as the taxpayers in this country, what are you doing? Are you, holding these leaders accountable? Are you able to understand the budget of your district? Do you know how much the district has budgeted for the next financial year that is starting on 1st July 2023 and it will end on 30th June 2024, because we are getting done with the financial year 2022-2023 by 30th of June. And so today is 8th already, and remember we are remaining with something like 3 weeks for us to get done with the financial year 2022-2023. And so have you understood the expenditure that the district has been able to make? You understand? And so was district able to deliver as promised during the budget conference and the budget reading and also passing of the budget? Did the district follow the procurement plans that they were able to come out with? What about the revenue enhancement plan that the district has? Has the district been able to implement that? And this goes to the councillors that we have in different districts in this country. We tend to rush to pass these budget, the revenue enhancement plan, talking about the procurement plan, but we don't follow whether the procurement plan is being followed by the technical people who are entrusted with implementation of this budget. And so we have to open up our eyes when it comes to that, because remember, they're using taxpayers' money, and so they have to follow what you have really passed. And so if they do not follow, then you have to raise accountability question here, because you cannot allow them to continue implementing some projects that are not really okayed by the district council. And so the importance of having the political wing in a district working together with the technical wing. The political wing helps to check and balance how the technical wing is implementing what the political wing was able to agree upon. And so if the technical wing is not implementing what the political wing agreed upon, and then there's a problem there. And so the issues of accountability comes in. And so we have different projects that are being implemented in our society. Do we understand the scope of the project? Do you understand the amount of money that has been put to see that the project is really put up for the people? As a local person, if they are constructing a school in your area, what are you doing? Do you have time to go and check on the project, how the work is progressing, and what is the quality that is being put up right there? Government has been rolling out different projects under different programs. We have that is a Dr. D project. We have that is the Dino project that have been rolled out. So as community members, have we been able to engage ourselves to understand these projects that are being implemented in our areas? Currently, in some of the districts hosting refugees, we have the Dr. D projects that are being implemented. Go to Madiokolo, you will be able to see market being constructed at Inde. We have been talking about the seed schools in the district of Pakwash at Wadlai Seed Secondary School. We have another seed secondary school that is under construction in Mamba in Kuchuni sub-county. Go to Andeo sub-county. There is another seed secondary school that is being constructed right there. There is another seed secondary school called Atego that had a lot of issues, and up to now it has not yet been officially commissioned. And so do we understand the implementation of these projects? And so that is where the social accountability aspect starts from, right from the grassroots. And so if the members of the grassroots understand how government spends its money, it becomes very easy for them even to appreciate paying taxes in this country. And so I wanted to add something to the story that ran right there. And so I think I would really say that this is a way to go. Our local people need to be empowered, and this goes to that is Westnile Region Civil Society Network together with Uganda National NGO Forum right there. Thank you very much for really thinking about the local people in regards to social accountability. So when they begin to understand accountability right from the grassroots, it becomes very easy for us to fight this disease called corruption that is being sung each and every time during any public gathering. And somebody did ask, what is corruption? Up to now he has not understood what corruption is, and so I leave it out right that side. And so let's get to matters to do with the gender-based violence right here in Western Sub-Region. Police registered an increase in domestic violence and child abuse that some of them led to fatal injuries and others possible death. And so according to the police statement released by the regional police spokesperson, Madam Josephine Angushia, Superintendent of Police, with due respect right there, says that most of the violence is attributed to lack of problem-solving criteria right there. Emmanuel Agele has more on this story.
In the recent months, police registered an increase in domestic violence and child abuse that some of them led to fatal injuries and others possible death. According to police statement released by the regional police spokesperson, ASP Josephine Angochia, most of the violence is attributed to lack of problem-solving criteria, and she has therefore asked families to learn how to resolve family disputes and make use of the family protection units.
We therefore appeal to our people that they should try to design more peaceful means of resolving family disputes other than using violence on each other. Because in all these incidences, the perpetrators normally regret. They underestimate the result of their actions. So they regret when life has been lost. So in order to avoid such regrets, we advise family members to design more peaceful means of resolving their disputes. They should avoid using violence as a way of solving their problems. If they cannot manage on their own, they should involve their relatives. If the relatives cannot manage, we have police, especially the Office of Child and Family Protection Unit, which is always there to harmonize the parties that have been experiencing violence at home. and the office has successfully managed cases of violence in homes. They have counseled people who have been fighting, quarreling successfully, whereby they go back and live peacefully as husband and wives. So we appeal to our people to make use of this Office of Child and Family Protection Unit so that they can be able to harmonize their matters. That is, if they have failed on their own, if their relatives have failed, then police as an independent party can come in to see who erred and then to point out mistakes of each one of the family members so as to arrive at a more harmonious resolution.
According to Brother Lago Charles, the principal of Adra Agriculture College, the continued drug and substance abuse and unregulated flow and access to drugs and substance that changes the mental state of the users cause some of this gender-based violence.
Marungi in Uganda is supposed to be illegal as far as I knew it when I was growing up. But still we find it in the markets because of its caffeine effect in the mental state of the person, and it causes a lot of some health related problem, and then to also, apart from affecting your health system, but also the brain's pattern of thinking, the behavior of the person changes, and it makes the individual become sometimes arrogant or lazy or idling around. Now, that is a crop that can also lead to impoverishment instead of contributing towards household elevation out of the poverty, alleviation out of the poverty trap. It instead keeps you there, because the users of that, they become non-productive in terms of socioeconomic activities. Two, it contributes to also social vices, social violence within our society. So it is appropriate for the government, both national and local, to consider having a control measure of that kind of enterprise. It is not something viable than a farmer who goes into horticulture, for example, or a farmer who goes into any food crop that is commonly eaten within the region. So I strongly advise our farmers who are growing marungi, marijuana for sale, they are instead contributing towards the poverty of the region than reducing the poverty within the region.
The continued cases of gender-based violence has called for thoughtful mitigation of the measures from every stakeholder and frontliners. Emmanuel Agele, Westnile TV Nilecast.
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel Agele, for that report. We are discussing issues to do with gender-based violence and also continued other issues to do with a mental state of the persons that we have in this region. And you have heard from the experts saying that I think the drugs abuse that we are witnessing is contributing to a number of factors that are really affecting our families. And so if you are to move in the streets of a rural city, you'll be able to find a great number of persons that are mentally not stable. And so you have to know that issues to do with the drugs abuse is really very common in this region called West Nile, because of these cuts in the Mairungi that we're talking about. And remember, the other time the Constitutional Court was able to quash that particular act of the narcotic and a psychotropic act right there. So that is something that we are waiting from Minister of Health and also Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, whether to reintroduce that particular act back for amendment is what we are still waiting. But there are some people who have also challenged the constitutional ruling in regards to psychotropic and also narcotic act right there in our country, Uganda. And so we believe that this will be harmonized, and we see how we can really solve some of these problems that are really resulting as a result of drugs abuse in our society. And so we have lost a number of people in regards to gender-based violence, according to the police, and also the very many cases that are being registered come to the regional police, child and family protection unit that we have here in Arua. Unfortunately, they have not been properly housed. They have the uniport that in the past they used the uniport for keeping the dead bodies that were being ferried from the battlefield, but it is housing that is a family and child protection unit of Westnile here in Arua City. And so that is also another challenge, and there are many children that are just being dropped at police and the parents just disappear, or the mother just brings a child, leaves the child right there, and so leaves the police with no option where to take this particular child who has just been dropped, simply because maybe the father has failed to provide for the basic needs to help this child out. And so these are some of the challenges that the people who are working in the Department of Child and Family Protection Unit of Westnile, they are really facing. So if government of the Republic of Uganda through Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development can really think about this, it is going to be a great deal for the police officers who are charged with the responsibility of managing such cases that are being reported. Each and every time, you will never fail to get in a couple family relatives sitting at police discussing issues to do with gender-based violence. And so that is something that is very serious here in Westnile and needs to be attended to by different stakeholders, and that is something that I can really let you know this morning. And so, dear viewer, remember we still have more stories for you this morning that I will be bringing to your attention. Leaving Westnile to Acholi sub-region, you have to know that Acholi sub-region is one of the sub-regions that we have in northern Uganda, and so people think that northern Uganda is only the districts of Acholi. No, northern Uganda is a very big region. For your information, according to government of the Republic of Uganda, Office of the Prime Minister, and so it stresses right from West Nile up to the border with the Karamoja, the Lao. Sub-region is also part of northern Uganda, and it borders Karamoja to the east, and also to the south it borders, that is a Bukedi. That is a region, that is the district of Tesu, and then talking about the district of Mbale, Tororo, and so those districts are in the sub-region that is called Bukedi sub-region right there. So let's get to Acholi sub-region in northern Uganda, where we have the war victims from northern Uganda together with the civil society organization, traditional and religious leaders vowed to petition government through the Speaker of Parliament of the Uganda and the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs for the delay of enacting transitional justice policy into law. And so they believe the absence of the law in Uganda's constitution is reason for the mysterious death of many war victims across the country for decades. Remember, northern Uganda was hit hard by the LRA insurgency that took almost 20 years. And for those who are good in history, and for those who were victims, like some of us, we can remember vividly what exactly happened in northern Uganda in regards to LRA insurgency. Number of people lost their lives, the people abducted, and I can testify to you, even my friend was abducted, and that was 1998, right there outside of Pajimo, that is in Kitgum, now Lamore district, and also those. And I can remember vividly when I was coming back to West Nile in 2002, it was a nasty moment for me when I was still growing up, a very young boy, and witnessing what I witnessed. I think it can also really affect somebody's state of mind. And so the victims of the war victims in northern Uganda, together with the civil society organization, the traditional and religious leaders, they want government of the Republic of Uganda to have the transitional justice policy enacted into law. And I believe that the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, I am happy that the minister is also one of the victims. I'm talking about Honorable Norbert Mao, who also hails from the north, and he is one who can really tell vividly what exactly happened during the decades of the LRA insurgency that really swept northern Uganda badly. Let's have more on this story reported by Stephen Okello, who is in Gulu for us.
War victims, especially those who have returned from LRA captivity, are facing rejection and stigma from their neighboring community.
After the three of us, 2 boys and so when I came back in 2001, just this year, when I had one of my brothers whom I thought he was killed is in Sudan with the Sudanese army.
Remembering their horrible past and relating to their current situation make them white always when they meet together.
The song is saying, we always surrender our life to you, God Almighty.
Majority have put all their trust into the transitional justice policy, which is about to be enacted into law.
It is by convention that reparation are always implemented to support those victims of war, of which many people are suffering silently. Now, government, with that convention, is supposed to enact an act of parliament, which would be a law that will guide government in the implementation of a reparation program. Now, if this law is not there, sometimes the hand of government is tied. They cannot appropriate money to begin having program for reparation.
According to the Director of War-Affected Women and Children Networking, Stella Angel Lanam, victims are demanding for urgent funds to support them as they wait for transitional justice policy to be enacted into law.
We want justice, because without justice, you will still be with the hunger. If you see the person who did atrocity in you and is free, you will be heart pain. And also, we want reconciliations. He also is supposed to be also there. And also we want at least the government should put the urgent fund for the victims of this country. Because I know this bill, they are not going to pass tomorrow. At least our request to the government and to the parliament of this country, at least they have to put some urgent fund to support the victims of northern Uganda.
This is the reason why civil society organizations who have been working with this victim need government to speed up the process of enacting this policy into law.
Tabling a petition by victims or by actors standing with the victims in regards to fastening the process of enacting this bill into law is one other option out of the very many other options. But I think that is the fastest and it is the loudest.
The Prime Minister Chule Kekwaro, Ambrose Ola, says the victim and civil society organization should implore more options.
There could have been an intermediary lapse in pushing for that policy. Chidong straight away going to a reactionary posture, to go to the speaker and to government. Yes, would be helpful to raise the profile of the case, but I think before that happens, we should be able to explore many other options that are comfortable.
Kelly Komakech, the victim lawyer, says the delay in this policy is greatly affecting the victims.
Victims are having issues in terms of reparations. They're suffering. Some of them have gunshot wounds, have bullets on them, splinters. So I think the more we delay, the more people die, the more these things can turn into cancers. So I think it's important that we must fast track this.
In 2019, when victims, together with civil society organizations from northern Uganda, petitioned Parliament of Uganda to enact into law the transitional justice policy, the delay of this process is affecting the victims all over the country. Stephen Okello for Westnile Television, Nilecast.
All right, thank you very much, Stephen Okello, for that report. You have heard from the report issues to do with the challenges that the war victims are really facing, and their prayer to the government of the Republic of Uganda, issues to do with affirmative actions and finances need to be set aside to support the war victims that we have in northern Uganda. And so remember, this also reminds me of the Coin War, Coin War victims that we have here in in West Nile who continue to demand government of the Republic of Uganda to compensate them. And so they were demanding over 99 billion Ugandan shillings in compensation for the property and lives that were lost along that is Karuma-Pakwash highway. And so the issue is still in court, and so the other time they requested them to pull out a bit. And so that is something to do with the LRA insurgency, that really affected northern Uganda. And you have to know that people continue to demand, and I believe it is going to be listened to, and those who sit in the cabinet and also those who sit at the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. Yeah, these are some of the issues that we want to see you discussing, and so that we see people are really being thought about, and their prayers are being also answered. Because remember, when a person continues to pray but the prayers are not answered, the person even becomes annoyed with God. And this is what we always witness in the community, and a person will begin saying, God, why me? Why is it my prayer is not being heard? And my prayers are being heard in some areas apart from the area where I stay. And so I believe that the prayers that have been prayed by the war victims will be heard by government of the Republic of Uganda. And I expect the leaders from the region to really continue pushing for this. And yeah, time will come that government of the Republic of Uganda will say, oh, let's give the listening here to these people, since their prayer seems to be holding water right there. Away from that, let's get to our neighboring country, Rwanda. You have to know that the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, has sacked more than 200 soldiers, including senior military officers. Major General Alois Muganga, commander of the army's mechanized division, and Brigadier General Francis Mutinganda, among 16 officers who have been dismissed. And so another 228 soldiers of the other ranks have also been kicked out. And so the statement released by the Rwandan Defense Force in the early hours on Wednesday gave no reason for the sacking. And so the move comes a day after Kagame reshuffled the top military officers, firing a defense minister and army chief at the same time, and announcing their replacements. And so that's what you have to know in our neighboring country, Rwanda, in regards to sacking and appointing. We are waiting whether there will be sacking and appointing here in our country, Uganda. Let's go for a break. And when we come back, we still have more for you from the dailies that we do have in our country, Uganda, the Daily Monitor, and also the New Vision as well. Good morning.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
The Ministry of Health will conduct yellow fever preventive mass vaccination campaign for all persons aged 9 months up to 60 years. These people should have never been vaccinated against yellow fever. The yellow fever campaign will be conducted in phases, with the first phase covering districts in the regions of Arua, Gulu, Lira, Kabare, Kabarore, and Hoima. The campaign will begin on the 9th of June and end on the 13th of June 2023 and will be conducted in all government health facilities and outreach posts. All parents and caregivers are requested to take their children aged 9 months to the nearest health facility and outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever disease. All adults aged up to 60 years but have never been vaccinated should go to health facilities and vaccination outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever. Ministry of Health calls upon everybody to report any person who presents with signs and symptoms such as yellowing of eyes, fever, headache, muscle pain, feeling of vomiting or nausea, vomiting, and general body weakness or fatigue to the nearest health facility or health worker immediately for medical attention. This could be yellow fever. Yellow fever vaccine is a single dose given once in a lifetime. The yellow fever vaccine is safe, effective, and free. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health with support from Gavi and partners.
more for less on Star Times this Easter season. Cartoon Channel for Best Children Entertainment. New global series. Local drama on Makula TV and football all around the world. Simply make weekly or monthly subscription and enjoy upgrade to the next bouquet. For classic or super bouquet customers, subscribe for a month and enjoy 5 days extra. Family time with Star Times. Star Times is regulated by UCC.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
The Ministry of Health will conduct yellow fever preventive mass vaccination campaign for all persons aged 9 months up to 60 years. These people should have never been vaccinated against yellow fever. The yellow fever campaign will be conducted in phases, with the first phase covering districts in the regions of Arua, Guru, Lira, Kabare, Kabarore, and Hoima. The campaign will begin on the 9th of June and end on the 13th of June 2023 and will be conducted in all government health facilities and outreach posts. All parents and caregivers are requested to take their children aged 9 months to the nearest health facility and outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever disease. All adults aged up to 60 years but have never been vaccinated should go to health facilities and vaccination outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever. Ministry of Health calls upon everybody to report any person who presents with signs and symptoms such as yellowing of eyes, fever, headache, muscle pain, feeling of vomiting or nausea, vomiting, and general body weakness or fatigue to the nearest health facility or health worker immediately for medical attention. This could be yellow fever. Yellow fever vaccine is a single dose given once in a lifetime. The yellow fever vaccine is safe, effective, and free. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health with support from Gavi and partners.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Westnile Television, KOKOLIRIKO Live on Westnile Television. Today is 8th of June 2023. My name is Denis Oringi. Let us dive into what we have in the dailies this morning. We are starting with daily bulletin this morning. You have to know that police intercepted 5 suspected criminals and recovered 23 phones in separate operations. And so that is one crime report that you can really get to understand how police was able to intercept these 5 suspected criminals, and they were able to recover 23 phones right there. And so these were in separate operations that were conducted by police in Kampala. Let's get to President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who says that no fuel subsidies for more Ugandans to drive to night clubs. And so he says that majority of Ugandans do drive to night clubs, and why should they really have the subsidies for these Ugandans who drive to night clubs? So President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, according to Museveni, although the country has been faced with economic shocks, household businesses have responded positively to government investments in agriculture and various wealth creation initiatives. And so he says that the president was able to make the yearly address against the backdrop of a country struggling with the sagging economy and high levels of unemployment in our country. Uganda is what you need to know right there. And so these are some of the stories that you need to know in regards to what is happening in our country, Uganda. And so President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni yesterday was able to address the nation, and he says that no fuel subsidies for more Ugandans who drive to nightclub. And so that means that President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has realized that the majority of Ugandans do park at nightclubs, different nightclubs that we have in this country, Uganda. And so I think I can agree with him, because if you have to move to different cities and towns that we do have in our country, Uganda, get to the nightclubs, and then you will be able to see a good number of cars parked at these nightclubs that we do have. And so somebody was saying that President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is being driven during daytime to go back to the State House Nakasero or Entebbe State House house. At what time, does he check on these nightclubs and seeing the cars parked? And so somebody says that he's also a human being. He can really also move at any time he wants. So sometimes it's also good to be private a bit. You leave all your escorts and you tell them, please drive me using this small car. I want just to see this city in the night, or this town in the night, and see. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni yesterday reiterated his stance against subsidies, which a section of Ugandans have been clamoring for to help cushion them against increasing cost of living. In his statement during the State of the Nation address at Kololo Ceremonial Ground yesterday, the president said the prices of domestic goods and services have reduced from what they were in the previous years. And so president says that petrol has reduced from that is shilling 6,563 a litre to 5,138 now. I cannot subsidize fuel so that people can drive more to nightclubs. It should be at their cost. At least for things like fertilizers, those can be subsidized. However, if the prices are distorted by some non-economic factors like sanctions from the West, it may be logical to look at subsidies. That's what President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni was able to say yesterday. And so he said that as the West continues to threaten his government with economic sanctions following the signing of the controversial Anti-Homosexuality Act right there. So according to Museveni, although the country has been faced with economic shocks, household businesses have responded positively to government investments in agriculture and various wealth creation initiatives. And quoting him further, saying that 60% of households have increased their incomes in the last financial year. And so President claimed during the event boycotted by opposition members who accused him of careless spending, especially on costly COVID-19 tests for anyone to attend his public meetings, such as a State of the Nation address and budget speech, at the expense of funding developmental projects right there. And so the president's address came against the backdrop of a country struggling with what we call a surging economy and high levels of unemployment, which together have fueled a creeping sense of hopelessness in many households. According to Mr. Museveni, Uganda has a vibrant economy and workforce that is transforming the country's economy into a digital one. And so he says further that the president boasted that the production of milk sector, he said he has a personal interest and he's directly involved in increased by 193%. And so quoting him saying that listen to this emphasis, with these economies which are rich naturally, we shouldn't be talking of this 6% like Minister of Finance. This is sector where I am involved directly. I don't need anybody as long as there is peace in Uganda. Milk increased from 2.8 billion litres in financial year 2020-2021 to 5.4 billion litres in the financial year 2021-2022, said Museveni, who has been in power for 37 years right there. And so those are some of the extracts from what he was able to speak yesterday at Kololo when he had the State of Nation address right there. And I have to tell you that all is set for that is Heroes Day celebrations according to government. You have to know that the Minister for Presidency, Millie Babalanda, has revealed that all is set for government to celebrate the 34th Heroes Day tomorrow, June 9th, right there at the Kasala Catholic Parish grounds in Bututuntu-Mala sub-county in Luero district. According to Babalanda, this year's commemoration will be marked under the theme Arise Uganda. Our heroes' sacrifices are now bearing fruits, and the function will be graced by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as the chief guest, who will award 51 medals to people in various categories right there. I do not know whether I will be one of those that will be awarded medals. Somebody is asking himself, what have I done to the country? and what am I doing now? I am also doing something to the country right there. And so the minister further noted that a health camp has been organized at the Lutula Health Center to precede the day's celebrations right there. And so quoting her saying that we have organized a health camp as a part of the events preceding the Heroes Day, and resident district commissioners are encouraged to mobilize people to turn up for the camp. And so services in the health camp include male circumcision, HIV testing, cancer and tuberculosis screening, dental services, among others, and it will be free of charge right there. I think that is one of the advantages that the people in that sub-county should really take on. And the ceremony will be open to the general public without mandatory COVID-19 testing, except for a few invited guests who will be required to take a COVID-19 test right there. And so regarding the uncompensated war veterans, Babalanda noted that the compensation funds of war veterans and war-affected persons was released. Some have received them, and I am sure even those who have not received will be receiving the money soon. And so Babalanda further proffered that whereas the people of Greater Luero are still faced with several challenges like poor road network in some parts, government is still committed to develop the region. More than 40 years since the ruling National Resistance Movement, NRA, and NRA launched a guerrilla war that brought Museveni to power in 1986 right there. And so every June 9th, government marks Heroes Day in commemoration of the first NRA heroes to be executed at that is Kikandwa Luero by the Uganda National Liberation Army UNLA in 1981. And so a few months after the NRA rebel leader Yoweri Museveni launched a war against Milton Obote's government, it is alleged that about 15 people were brutally killed on this day, including the NRA rebels and their collaborators right there. So Greater Luero was the epicenter of the 5-year guerrilla war between 1981 and 1986 that ushered Museveni's government to power in 1986. But the opposition politicians have always slammed the government for neglecting the area. In the last 37 years, it has been in power. And so that is one of the stories in regards to the celebration that is going to be tomorrow in Luero district right there. And so we believe that the people in that district will be able to also make some killings out of these celebrations, because whenever we have celebrations, there are people who move from different places. They will be looking for accommodation, feeding, and also there are people who will be also making good money right there. And that is the importance of organizing national celebration. I can remember in 2018, I beg to be corrected, when NRA Day was organized here in Arua, people made a lot of money. All the accommodations, facilities were really full to the capacity. Some people slept in Bakwash, some went even slept in Paida because there were no accommodation facilities to accommodate more number here in Arua. And so I believe that the people in Luero, this is a good killing for you right then, so you can as well really make some money out of the celebration as well. And so I will also be asking you tomorrow early in the morning, who is your hero? Much as we are celebrating the NRA heroes who contributed greatly during the Luero triangle right there. And so we shall also be hearing from you as we celebrate Heroes Day. Who is your hero? You will be able to drop that tomorrow early in the morning as we shall be getting to the show for the Friday edition of the program, the KOKOLIRIKO, right here on Westnile Television. It's another story that I need to bring. Pre-medical interns arrested while protesting late deployment is also another story that you need to know right here this morning, that the pre-medical interns arrested while protesting the late deployment right there for you. So a group of pre-medical interns on Wednesday stormed the Ministry of Health offices at that is Laudel Road in Kampala, demanding answers on their delayed deployment. And so the group was first intercepted at Makerere University College of Health Sciences at Mulago by Wandega Police Station, and some of them were arrested. Those who survived arrest proceeded with the march to the Health Ministry. However, the police also intercepted and some were arrested from the ministry's gate before they could go inside right there. And so that is something that you need to know. So what is Ministry of Health saying in regards to the pre-medical interns deployment? The Health Ministry spokesperson Emmanuel Ayobiona said they are still waiting for official communication from the Ministry of Finance on when the funds would be released. However, he added that some parents of pre-medical interns approached, that is Dr. Diana Trine, the Ministry's Permanent Secretary, requesting to be allowed to commence internship at their cost to avoid further loss of time. And so that is something that you need to know. And so Dr. Herbert Loswata, the Secretary General of the Uganda Medical Association, in response to the Ministry of Health, a statement said to have interns who can afford to pay for themselves to apply and be deployed to facilities of their choice, while those who cannot afford be left out for the second year running, as the Ministry of Health proposes, is extremely dangerous, discriminatory, not well thought through, but will yield inequality among the future health workers and will affect the quality of service and outcomes of treatments right there. And so that is something that you need to get to understand in regards to the pre-medical interns deployment by Ministry of Health. Now you have heard from the Ministry of Health that they are still waiting from the Ministry of Finance in regards to the release of the finances that they are supposed to use for really paying these pre-medical interns right there. And so there are also some parents who are well off, not like my parents, not like the parents of your friend who could not really afford, sponsoring these interns in different hospitals of their choice. And so what will really happen? So you have heard from the Secretary General of that is Uganda Medical Association saying that this is a very discriminatory in nature. It is not well thought, it is dangerous, and this will yield inequality among the future health workers if government allows parents to sponsor their own children during the time that they're doing internship in this government facility. So for them, the argument is that yes, we are working already. Even if you are for internship, there should be some allowance that should be given to us because we are working in these government health facilities and we are doing even work that people who are being paid salary are really doing. And for them, they only need allowances, not salary. And so government, through Ministry of Health and also Ministry of Finance, should really be able to look for money to really facilitate them because they need to dress smart, they need to be accommodated, they need to take breakfast, they need to eat, they also need airtime, and they need also to look good before the patients. And those are the arguments of these pre-medical interns in regards to their deployment. And so since they will be working in the government hospitals that we have in this country, Uganda, so it is really prudent enough for the government of the Republic of Uganda to look for some finances. If the others were really deployed and they were really facilitated, financed properly, and they were able to complete that period for their internship, and now there are doctors working in different government health facilities that we have in this country, why not? We need to build the capacity of these health workers. We need to really accord them all the necessary support that they need because they are dealing with a life. Once they are deployed or once they are employed in these hospitals, and if they are half-baked, the people who will suffer will be the patients. The people who are going to suffer will be me and you who will not be able to afford going out of the country to get medical services. And so I think it is prudent enough for the government of the Republic of Uganda to think about this because this is to help the health sector of this country. And in turn, it will really trickle down in supporting and helping the patients who are vulnerable in this country. Those who cannot afford, a flight to other countries for medical attention. And so I think it is necessary that we should really be able to look for some money and finance these medical interns. We always cry that the number of doctors are really very, very few, but we have the doctors now, moving to the street protesting. And so I think other countries should be laughing at us that look at those people. There are people who are ready to work in government hospitals. They only just need allowance and they are not being given that money. And this is forcing them to, to protest. And so that is so dangerous to a country like Uganda that is still a developing country, as it has been said by the international bodies that Uganda is still a developing country, and so we need to really support those that are interested and are ready to offer their services to this nation in regards to offering their health knowledge to boost the health sector that we have in this country, Uganda. Healthy nation, it's a developmental nation. So once a nation is not healthy, you know what happens. A healthy body is what we call a development a body as well. And so once you're healthy, things move on well. And so we believe that government of the Republic of Uganda will be able to look into that, and we see the medical interns really given that. And President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni said that I am a suspected COVID patient. That is what he said yesterday right there. So what is he saying in regards to that? President Museveni said yesterday that one of the 3 COVID-19 tests he undertook in the morning turned out positive. with the virus. Days after World Health Organization said the pandemic, which killed millions of people and wreaked economic and social havoc, no longer constitutes a global health emergency. And so he says, this morning I was feeling as if I had a cold. I took a rapid coronavirus test which indicated negative. However, my samples were taken for a deeper analysis. One was negative and the other positive. So I am a suspect of corona as I speak. That's why I came in a separate car with a mama. And those who were able to watch yesterday, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni used a different car, different from the one that Mama Janet Kataa Museveni used to reach Kololo for the State of Nation address right there. And so you have to know that the State of Nation address was boycotted by opposition MPs protesting what they described as careless spending, especially on costly COVID-19 tests for anyone to attend the president's public meetings right there. So the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Health, Dr. Diana Twine, who is Museveni's personal doctor, said the president was in robust health. And so today, June 7th, 2023, His Excellency the President tested positive for COVID-19. This was after developing mild flu-like symptoms. However, he is in robust health and continues to perform his duties normally while adhering to standard operating procedures. And so she tweeted moments after Museveni's address. So earlier, Matthias Mpuga, the leader of opposition in parliament, had slammed the State House, arguing that testing for COVID-19 before meeting the president was a waste of public resources, which would be channeled into other development activities right there. And so the World Health Organization declared an end to COVID-19 as a global health emergency. However, General Museveni continues to waste the public resources to specific companies owned by individuals close to the regime on COVID tests. Whenever he meets people both at his home and other parts of the country, Mpuga told journalists yesterday, hours before President Museveni's address at Kololo. And so Mpuga then advised Museveni, who is 78 years, and his family to take a robust dose if he was anxious about COVID-19. And so during the address, however, the president said Uganda's health capacity in vaccine development and other interventions like spreading malaria awareness and prevention had been strengthened over the last 3 years after the outbreak of COVID-19. And so early last month, World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom, that is Ghebreyesus, declared that is COVID-19 over as a global health emergency. So the move came after the World Health Organization's Independent Emergency Committee on the COVID crisis agreed it no longer merited the organization's highest alert level and advised that it is time to transition to long-term management of COVID-19 pandemic right there. And so that is something that you need to know in regards to COVID-19. But President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni did confirm that he is a suspected COVID patient right there. And so let's get to another story. 2-day Court of Appeal criminal session opens in Masaka is also another good news right there for the people in Masaka. I do not know whether we shall also be able to have this 2-day Court of Appeal criminal session opening up right here in Western Sub-Region to help some of the persons who have been, convicted, and they have appealed of the judgment that were really made in regards to their cases. And so that's a good news for the people in Masaka. And then court dismisses incitement of violence case against Dr. Kizza Besigye. Is also another political story that you need to know right here, that Buganda Road Court has dismissed one of the cases in which Dr. Kizza Besigye has been accused of inciting violence over lack of prosecution. Dr. Besigye on Wednesday appeared before the Buganda Road Chief Magistrate Court for the hearing of his case of incitement to violence, contrary to section 51 subsection 1b of the Penal Code Act capped 120. However, a discharge order was presented discontinuing his trial right there. And this is also another thing that you need to know, that in May 2022 Dr. Kizza Besigye was arrested and charged for allegedly rallying masses to rise up and protest against the high rocketing prices of every commodity, including sugar, among others. The prosecution had stated that on Monday 24th, Dr. Kizza Besigye, while at Arua Park, Muno Village, that is Sauriyako Parish Central Division in Kampala, without lawful excuse, at an assembly made statement to members of the public indicating or implying that it would be desirable to demonstrate an act which was calculated to lead to the destruction or damage to property. Dr. Besigye is still facing another charge of incitement to violence in relation to the high commodity prices before another magistrate. Is also another story that you need to know in regards to this gentleman that is called Dr. Kizza Besigye there, right there. Also, another story that we have right here is that 24-year-old insurance agent kidnapped, raped, and this is according to police right there. Let's get to the National Medical Stores where the IGG is interested, and IGG probes fraud at National Medical Store. Is also another another news that you need to know right this morning, that the Inspector General of Government, Betty Kamia, has through her inspectors commenced an investigation into the operations of the National Medical Stores, a government agency responsible to procure, store and distribute drugs to public health facilities right there. We have been talking about shortage of drugs in different health facilities. Are you aware that it's the responsibility of the National Medical Stores to ensure that the drugs are really made available to different health facilities belonging to government in this country? Is something that you need to know. So the IGG is now investigating the National Medical Store right there. And so the investigation targets the way the drugs are procured, stored, distributed to different government health centers, and later the balance or expired is returned for destruction by National Medical Store right there. And so Munira Ali, the spokesperson of the Inspectorate of Government, yesterday said that their team has already commenced scrutinizing the documents that were obtained from National Medical Stores last week. On Friday, June 2nd, a team from the IG led by Kamia, while performing the inspectorate role, stormed the National Medical Store headquarters in Kajansi, Wakiso district. And so annually, the National Medical Store, through the National Drug Authority, bans unspecified volumes of expired drugs. And so why are these drugs expiring? Is it because people are not consuming, or the decision to really produce them was not rightly made? These are also another questions that we continue to ask. Yet other health facilities here we have in some parts of this country do lack this kind of drugs that are really being banned, the one that are considered to be expired. And so remember, once the expired drugs are banned, it's like the country is burning money because they spent money on those drugs. And so is it the problem with the priority? What are some of the drugs that are majorly consumed by the persons in this country? And so those are some of the issues. And so issues to do with the procurement of the drugs, issues to do with the store distribution, it is majorly handled by National Medical Store. And so Minister of Health contracts National Medical Store to see that they are responsible for the procurement of these drugs, they are responsible for the storage of these drugs, and they are responsible for the distribution of these drugs. So if the drugs are not reaching your health facility, the people who are supposed to be taken up by these people, are these people working with the National Medical Store, because they are the one responsible for procuring the drugs, they're the one responsible for the storage, they're the one responsible for the distribution, and they're the one responsible for banning the expired one together with the National Drugs Authority right there. And so that is a story that you need to know in regards to the IGG investigating National Medical Store right there. So National Medical Store is one of the government agencies that we do have in this country, or department that is responsible for procurement, storage and distribution of the drugs to different health facilities in this country right there. And so dear viewer, last one from the Daily Monitor before I dive into the new vision. You have to know that Uganda National Road Authority has cleared travelers to take photos on new bridge. It's also another story that you need to know. I want to end with this particular one where Adjumani police impound 19 trucks carrying charcoal. I want also to hear the same in Pakwash. How many trucks have been impounded carrying charcoal leaving West Nile using Pakwash Bridge? If Adjumani has done this, we want to see this also in Adjumani. And you have to know that this is in regards to the executive order that President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni issued 2 weeks ago. And so Adjumani police, they seem to be doing some great work right there in terms of implementing the executive order that President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni issued 2 weeks ago. And so police in Adjumani district have intercepted 19 trucks loaded with illegal charcoal in Apa, Itirikwa sub-county. After the interception, the drivers were ordered to take the vehicles to Adjumani Central Police Station. However, some of them refused to obey the directive. The police plunged off number plates of the trucks whose drivers refused to heed the order. The drivers who heeded the order have since been charged with trading in illegal products, and this is according to the reports. And so Benon Biamokama, the Adjumani District Police Commander, said that the trucks were intercepted at night during weekend while attempting to exit Adjumani to Amuro District. Ignatius Dragudu, the police spokesperson for the North West Nile region, said they will impound the trucks in Apa until the drivers voluntarily move to Adjumani Central Police Station. And so quoting him, him, saying that day drivers have all been summoned because there is a presidential order that prohibits commercial charcoal trade. He said between Friday and Saturday, authorities in the district held a joint crackdown against illegal charcoal dealers in Apa. The operation followed a decision to curb illegal charcoal production and transportation during a district security committee meeting chaired by the resident district commissioner. And so the exercise was carried out by that is officials from National Forestry Authority, the district forest officer, police, and the Uganda People's Defense Forces. So NFA indicates that a total of 19 trucks impounded were carrying charcoal estimated at 12,000 bags and valued at more than 650 million, leaving hegemony. Simon Peter Kidega, the NFA sector manager for Zoka Central Forest Reserve, said his officers created a task force to execute the presidential order. And so, quoting him, saying that poor community attitudes towards the preservation and protection of the environment, lack of transport, as well as regular land disputes between Adjumani and Amuru districts have hampered NFA's efforts to curb the rampant environmental destruction right there. And so the challenge is that the truck drivers have become non-compliant, because earlier on they were licensed by the district, but the executive order is above all these licenses, and that's according to Kidega right there. Jesus Iranya, the Itirikwa sub-county chairman, said the trade is done by powerful individuals in government. He declined to name any of them. Presidential order last month, President Museveni issued an executive order banning commercial charcoal trade. The region where the ban applies are Karamoja, Teso, Lao, Ashuli, and West Nile, where security forces, especially some commanders of UPDF, are accused of hating destroyers of the environment by guarding charcoal burners, traders, and transporters right there. And he says that to save the environment and also the reputation of the NRM, I therefore hereby ban the cutting of trees for charcoal burning. President Museveni said right there in the executive order that he issued. Let's go for a break, dear viewer. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. It is KOKOLIRIKO Live on Westnile Television. My name is Denis Oringi, and let's go for a break. When we come back, we shall be diving into what we have in the new vision this morning. Good morning.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
The Ministry of Health will conduct yellow fever preventive mass vaccination campaign for all persons aged 9 months up to 60 years. These people should have never been vaccinated against yellow fever. The yellow fever campaign will be conducted in phases, with the first phase covering districts in the regions of Arua, Gulu, Lira, Kabare, Kabarore, and Hoima. The campaign will begin on the 9th of June and end on the 13th of June 2023 and will be conducted in all government health facilities and outreach posts. All parents and caregivers are requested to take their children aged 9 months to the nearest health facility and outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever disease. All adults aged up to 60 years but have never been vaccinated should go to health facilities and vaccination outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever. Ministry of Health calls upon everybody to report any person who presents with signs and symptoms such as yellowing of eyes, fever, headache, muscle pain, feeling of vomiting or nausea, vomiting, and general body weakness or fatigue to the nearest health facility or health worker immediately for medical attention. This could be yellow fever. Yellow fever vaccine is a single dose given once in a lifetime. The yellow fever vaccine is safe, effective, and free. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health with support from Gavi and partners.
More for less on Star Times this Easter season. Cartoon channel for best children entertainment. New global series. Local drama on Makula TV and football all around the world. Simply make weekly or monthly subscription and enjoy upgrade to the next bouquet. For classic or super bouquet customers, subscribe for a month and enjoy 5 days extra. Family time with Star Times. Star Times is regulated by UCC.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, we'll be back. You're still watching Westnile Television. Right here, let's dive into the New Vision and we get some of the stories that have featured in the New Vision. You have to know that New Vision has not failed to capture the State of the Nation address. And according to Museveni, Uganda now exports that is more to Africa than to the rest of the world, with 86% of the exports going to Africa in the last 12 months right there. In Hoima City, you have to know 16 circles finally receive that is a parish development model money. And then also you need to know on the international scene, deadly booze brings a profit pain to Kenyan's street is another story that you need to know right there. And so Kenya's government wants to stamp out illicit booze, but defenders of Nchaga says the business brings in badly needed jobs in places like Matare, where some 200,000 people live closely packed poverty right there. And so along a polluted riverside, smoking shared oil drums in Matare are cooking up changa, a potent liquor that's both a scourge and a lifeline. And so in this slum in the Kenya's capital, Nairobi, back alley distillers are famous for cheap what we call moonshine that's powerful enough to foul grown men. And so 20 Kenyan shillings will buy you a glass of that is super strength alcohol. That is your invitation to oblivion. Kenya's government wants to stamp out illicit booze, but defenders of Chaga says the business brings in badly needed jobs in places like Matare, where some 200,000 people live closely packed poverty. So other though acknowledge that the Chaga also brings deep health and social problems, and regulations brings the chance of that is addressing them right there. And so that is something that you need to know in regards to this Chaga liquor that is being produced in Kenya. And so they are saying that they're also making profit, more especially where over 200,000 people, poor people stay, the number of people who have been employed there, much as the Chaga liquor is also being considered to be bad, but the other aspect of job creation and also the killings that the people are really making out of this sale of the liquor is also another good part. But also the other bad part is that the number of young people, number of old people who are poor who drink this Chaga liquor that is dangerous to their health, and Kenya's government is saying that this is illicit and they will not be able to tolerate that. But the defender for this Chaga liquor, they said no, we need this liquor in existence. And so this reminds me of City 5 here in Arua. I do not know where the story has ended. We need to make follow-up whether the company has changed its name or it is still the company that produced that deadly City 5 gin that claimed lives here in West Nile. And so that is something that I need to bring to your attention right there. It's okay. All right. Let's get to more stories this morning from the New Vision. You have to know that the issues to do with that is the yellow fever. It is now due, and we need to encourage each and every person, please, if you have not taken your yellow fever jab, make sure that the day that they will come to your vicinity, you have to really take part. All right, let's get to that's another story in regards to that is illegal fishing gear worth 1 billion destroyed on Lake Albert in Hoima is another story where Lieutenant Emmanuel Muchunguzi, the UPDF Marine Brigade spokesperson, said the operation was conducted on the 2 landing sites on Lake Albert, Kaiso and Kijangi in Buseruka sub-county, that is in Hoima right there. And so it is not good for the fishing fishing community that are living in Buseruka, Kijangi, and and also Kaiso. And so Mushunguzi said many fishermen are using illegal fishing methods which have depleted the lake. So he also wants that many Congolese are crossing into Uganda where they are involved in bad fishing methods. And so he said at Kajangi, the Kijangi landing site, the fishermen have been using the mosquito nets which were provided to them by Ministry of Health for the prevention of malaria to carry out fishing. Johnson Ozele, a fisherman at the Kijangi landing site, blamed the bad fishing on the Congolese who access Ugandan waters at night. And so Michael Kiakashire, the Oima Deputy Resident District Commissioner, said all people involved in illegal fishing should be arrested, charged, and prosecuted right there. And so that is what you need to know in regards to the fishing that is going on. General Muhoozi Kainerugaba rushes to Somalia is also another great story that you need to know this morning. That this gentleman called that is General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the senior presidential advisor for special operations, has held talks with the president of Somalia, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, who hosted him at his official residence, that is Villa Somalia. A statement from Mogadishu issued Wednesday evening states that Kainerugaba was an emissary with a special message from President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Without details, the Somalia President's office stated that the message was on collaboration in the fight against terrorism. And so during the private talks on collaboration in the fight against terrorism, the Somalia leader condemned the recent Bulo Mare attack on Ugandan peacekeepers. He expressed condolences to the families of the fallen, that is soldiers right there. So Major General Nathan Mugisha, the acting ambassador of Uganda to Somalia, was in attendance as well. So Museveni recently announced that 54 soldiers were killed on May 24th, 2023 when the Al-Shabaab attacked the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, based at Bulo Mare. And so that is what you need to know. I think it is a good gesture saying General Muhoozi Kainerugaba going right there to Somalia to have some discussion with the president of Somalia, and we believe that the discussion will be able to yield the fruits that will really give confidence to the soldiers who are really in Somalia for the peacekeeping mission right there. Meanwhile, condolences also to the families that have lost their dear ones right there. Remember, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni said that the government is committed to put around 10 billion Uganda shillings for compensating the family of those who lost their lives. And he says that each family can be able to get around 180 million Uganda shillings in compensation for the lives lost right there in that particular attack. And remember, 2 soldiers have been arrested, and these soldiers will be charged in the court martial for withdrawing when they were already in the front line. And according to the UPDF Act, when a soldier withdraws from the battlefield, that is a sign of cowardice. And so President Museveni said that those will be dealt with according to the UPDF Act right there. And so once you're a soldier and you're already at the war front, there's no escaping, my dear. You have to face the enemies. And it should be either enemies finishing you or you finishing the enemies, but not withdrawing and running away. And that is something that you need to know if you're planning to join any military in this country, in this world. I mean, get ready to finish it with the rebels once you face them. If not, you will come back and you will be in prison. And according to that act, it is life imprisonment, for your information. And so that is something that you need to know. All right, dear viewer, it is 5 minutes at the top of the hour, 9 a.m. right on Westnile Television. Let's go for a break, and when I come back, I will be able to give you some highlights in the world of sports, what you need to know. And remember, we are remaining with a day to have the Champions League final between Manchester City and Inter Milan. And this and more will be after the break. Good morning.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
the Ministry of Health will conduct yellow fever preventive mass vaccination campaign for all persons aged 9 months up to 60 years. These people should have never been vaccinated against yellow fever. The yellow fever campaign will be conducted in phases, with the first phase covering districts in the regions of Arua, Guru, Lira, Kabare, Kabarore, and Hoima. The campaign will begin on the 9th of June and end on the 13th of June 2023 and will be conducted in all government health facilities and outreach posts. All parents and caregivers are requested to take their children aged 9 months to the nearest health facility and outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever disease. All adults aged up to 60 years but have never been vaccinated should go to health facilities and vaccination outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever. Ministry of Health calls upon everybody to report any person who presents with signs and symptoms such as yellowing of eyes, fever, headache, muscle pain, feeling of vomiting or nausea, vomiting, and general body weakness or fatigue to the nearest health facility or health worker immediately for medical attention. This could be yellow fever. Yellow fever vaccine is a single dose given once in a lifetime. The yellow fever vaccine is safe, effective, and free. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health with support from Gavi and partners.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, we'll be back at the viewer. You have another 3 minutes to the top of the hour of 9 a.m. right on Western Television. Before I get out of the studio, let me give you some mention in the world of sports right this morning. Haaland set to resign over Europe as Man City historic treble. Right there is one big story that we have this morning in the world of sports. You have to know here that Erling Haaland has been backed to dominate the Champions League for years to come as the record-breaking Manchester City striker aims to fire his side to treble glory in Saturday's final against Inter Milan. Haaland has taken the Premier League by storm in his first season, scoring 52 goals in all competitions since signing from Borussia Dortmund right there. And so the 22-year-old fueled the City's successful bid to overhaul Arsenal in the title race before Pep Guardiola's side completed the second leg of the treble with the FA Cup final victory against Manchester United last Saturday. And so you have to know that City are confirmed the favourites to win the Champions League for the first time when they face Inter Milan in Istanbul this weekend. And so they would make City only the second English club after Manchester United in 1999 to lift the Premier League, Champions League and FA Cup in the same season. Ominously for the defenders across Europe, Haaland believes he can get better as he spends more time in Guardiola's unique system. So I have been developing in a really positive way, and that's important for me because I am still really young. And so he said right there, so I am 22, I have got a long career ahead of me, and I still have to develop. That's also something I was thinking of over 1 year ago when I was thinking about my next move. Those are words of that is Erling Haaland right there. And so each and everybody is praising Manchester City. I am waiting to see what will really happen. I think this will also make me have a decision on which team should I really support over the weekend. Is it Manchester City or Inter Milan? And so I believe that I will be able to tell you this next week on Monday, which team exactly will be able to really take that particular trophy right there. And so that's something that I felt is important that I should also be able to bring to your attention this morning. Dear viewer, thank you very much for being with me up to this particular time. Catch me again tomorrow for KOKOLIRIKO Live on Westnile Television. Remember, tomorrow is public holiday because we shall be able to have the Heroes Day, 9th of June. Each and every year, Uganda celebrates Heroes Day. Have the best of your time. Up next is the repeat for the Real Talk with the yacht Lillian. Good morning.